When I was a little kid, I couldn't wait to become a teenager. When I was a teenager, I couldn't wait to become an adult. Now that I'm an adult, I actually want to be an adult forever. I mean, not forever, until I die. When I was a little kid, I wanted to experience what it's like to be a teenager. What it's like to have pubic hair. What it's like to... I'm not even saying it. When I was a teenager, I wanted to experience what it's like to be an adult, to be considered a grown-up, to have kids look up to you, want to listen to you, respect you, to be able to send kids where you want to send them. I mean, as an adult, I can find a kid in the street and be like, yo, go, there's something that I want you to do for me, do it, and they'll do it. They respect me because I'm an adult. So I wanted to know what it felt like. Because as a kid, you can't send another kid to do something for you. You know what I mean? But now that I'm an adult, I'm like, why am I telling you all this? I'm telling you because there's always been something that I was looking forward to, right? I didn't know what it's like to be a teenager. I didn't know what it's like to be an adult. I don't know what it's like to die. On this video, I'm going to tell you what I believe happens when we die. I mean, we all know that when we die, we get buried. Our loved ones are going to mourn our death. But what really happens to our consciousness? That's what we'll be attempting to figure out on this video. I believe that to get to the real truth about existence, we must all become philosophers. Like, there's no other way. No one is going to convince you that what they think is really going on is what's going on. It's really you who has to really figure out what's going on. It's you. And you can't do that unless you think at the deepest level. You need to think until you start to sweat, because you're thinking, like your brain is actually working. A person can tell you what's really going on, but if you're not a thinker, you won't know or even believe that what they're saying is going on is what's going on. Right? They can actually tell you the truth and you don't believe the truth because you're not thinking. Maybe the truth is actually stranger than fiction. Maybe reality is not what it seems. Maybe the answer isn't that obvious, or maybe it is. But because we are in a world where we weren't given answers, obviously we need to figure out what the answers are ourselves. And it can't really be through science or direct experience, because some people will be like, oh, if you experience something, then it means it's true. Like, you can have an experience that's not even real. We know that people who suffer from schizophrenia, who can see things that are not even there. There are people who have had an out-of-body experience, people who have had a psychedelic experience, people who have had a near-death experience. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't really be sure that what they experienced is real. So you have to become a philosopher to realize what's going on. Like, there's no other way. If you were stuck in a simulation, to even realize that you're stuck in a simulation, you need to become a philosopher. You wouldn't be able to use science to realize that you're stuck in a simulation, especially if you're not even supposed to realize that you're stuck in a simulation. So you need to think. You need to become a thinker. So what's really going on? What really happens when you die? Does it end when you die? You just become unconscious forever. You do not continue to exist. That's it. It ends when you die. Let's first try to figure out what you really are. Not who, but what. Let's forget the name that they gave you. Let's forget your sex. Let's forget your height. Let's forget your tribe, your skin color, the country you're from. Let's forget all of that. What are you? Are you really a human? Or you just believe that you're a human? You're actually something more than what you believe you are. Why are you self-aware? How did you become self-aware? How? What has power to create awareness? I want you to think about this deeply. You can even pause this video. Like, can awareness be created? Can something have power to actually create awareness? How does that even work? So you create something that is sentient, that's going to become its own self. Are you even going to be able to understand it? What it's like to be that thing? Because it seems like every sentient being experiences life from their perspective, right? So can whatever you believe created you, can it experience life from your perspective? And if it can't, how did it even create you? How? It used math to actually create awareness. Can try to imagine something so powerful that it can actually create consciousness itself. It can actually create awareness. Try to imagine that and tell me if you feel like that is actually possible. It is possible to create awareness. What are you? Maybe as a human you were created. Or you were made to believe that you're a human and you became trapped in this realm. But you're not even a human. You were just made to believe that you're a human. What are you really? What if you are consciousness itself? You are reality itself. You are existence itself. Meaning that you can never stop existing. You will always exist. But because it sucks to just exist knowing everything, you know what I mean? Like, you know everything that can be known. Like, you're capable of anything. You know you can do whatever. Maybe that's boring, right? So you chose to become a bit limited somehow. To create a story that you hoped you'd like. Maybe things didn't go as planned. You do make mistakes, right? As a human, I can make mistakes. I know that. I can try to draw something and it doesn't come out the way that I wanted it to be. I can try. I can get into a relationship. I can get married and be like, yeah, I want to get married. And then it doesn't work out. Because other people will be like, oh, well, if you created this, or if you chose to be here, I've already explained why you couldn't actually have chosen to be here. As you, as the being that is experiencing this, I've already explained that. But I also want you to realize that you can make a mistake. It's also possible. So, did you accidentally put yourself in prison? Did you accidentally imprison yourself? What are you? Are you consciousness, having an experience? What are you really? When I do real philosophy, I fail to imagine death being a real thing. I fail. You know, I try. I'm like, okay, let's say I reach the age of 70, I get sick, and then I die. Does that mean that it's all over? I fail to imagine a realm where that will be possible, that my life will actually end. I think I will always be self-aware. I think I can never not be self-aware. I think death is an illusion. Think about it. What are the chances that you actually can die? A lot of people might think chances of that are like 100 of 100, like you can actually die. But why are you conscious now? So you just happen to be conscious now. You were born and then you became conscious and you're going to become unconscious. Does that really make sense? You're just this physical being that was brought into existence, and it's going to die and it will all be over. You'll never be conscious again. Does that really make sense? Let's be intellectually honest. What if you are not what you think you are, or what you believe you are? I've told y'all a lot about dreams on this channel. Listen, most of the time when you dream, you don't know that you're dreaming. And you dream, maybe you dream every night. I dream every night when I sleep. I would have different dreams at night. It's not like I just have one dream. No. I'm going to have different dreams. Like I'm going to sleep, wake up, and then sleep again, dream, wake up, sleep again, dream, wake up. So I would have different dreams. It's not just one dream. And it's so hard for me to realize when I'm dreaming that I'm actually dreaming. And even when I do, it still feels real. You know? It still feels real, and I'm not intelligent enough in a dream to really know what it means to know that I'm dreaming. The reason why I'm telling you about dreams is that because the only other life that we remember experiencing happens in our dreams, and we don't know that we're dreaming when we're dreaming, chances are things are not what they seem, right? What you're supposed to believe as a human is that you were born, you get old, you die, or maybe something happens and you die, and that's the story, right? That's what you're supposed to believe. Like if you're a normal human, that's exactly what you're supposed to believe. You're not supposed to think, hey, this is a simulation. If you say something like that, you look crazy. Like, what do you mean it's a simulation? It's a simile. Like, we live inside a computer. Like, if I told a person who lives where I live and say, we're inside a quantum computer, like, that person would look at me and be like, have you ever, like, seen a doctor or something? Like, it just sounds so insane, right? If I said to that person that it's a dream, of course I would sound insane. I told you that I've had a conversation with a friend 4 years ago. Was trying to tell them that it makes sense to look at this as a dream, and they're like, never say that to anyone else because they'll think that you're crazy, right? So chances are whatever is true about this realm that we've found ourselves in will be something that's stranger than fiction. So you will be considered a madman for thinking the truth, because it's crazy. Like, it's not what it seems. Like, the world itself is not what it seems. So to be normal, you have to believe the story, right? You have to believe that life is what it seems. That's when people will say, oh yeah, you're normal. But if you're like, no, life is not what it seems. Actually, it's kind of like the opposite of what it seems, then you're crazy. Do you really believe that when you die, that's it? I need to go back. I need to go back, actually, because one day I'm going to fall here. Yo. I mean, this is too damn risky, dude. Too damn risky. Imagine falling here. Doesn't it really feel like consciousness is fundamental? Like, your true nature is existence itself. Like, you can never not exist. Like, that's you. You are existence itself. That is actually what you are. Like, it doesn't have an opposite. There could never be non-existence, because you are existence. You can never not exist. What can happen is that you wake up. What can happen is that you dream and then you wake up from the dream. You wake up in different ways. Maybe you wake up, you find out you're tied to, you are sitting on a chair, and you are wearing something. And you were in a simulation, or you wake up in your bed, but really you don't actually die. You just think that you die because you see other people dying. So you're like, I will also die, but have you ever died? And you might say, no, Benedict, I've never died exactly. So, of course I'm going to die one day. And I'm actually looking forward to that. Like, it's actually going to happen. But what if it will never happen? What if you never ever experience death? What if you will just wake up? Maybe you wake up in a room surrounded by your friends asking you, how was the experience? And you're like, what? So I was in a simulation all along. Really? So all of it was not real? And they say, yeah, it wasn't. You punch one of them for putting you through this nonsense, but because it have to be one of your friends who have actually convinced you to try to experience this nonsense. But yeah, you wake up and they tell you that it was not real. All of it was not real. You took it seriously. You suffered. We've seen you suffer. But none of it was real. I like Rick and Morty because they explore. Like, a lot of people who don't like Rick and Morty are just people who was just watching it just to laugh, actually. Because now Rick and Morty isn't funny. The first season, second season, third season, like, they were actually funny. Like, you'd actually laugh. But they've taken a different route where they was just trying to explore what reality might be. Like, they'll be making episodes that will make you think. So one of the episodes that I actually like was was this episode. I don't know the name of the episode, but Rick and Morty went to this planet, and then Rick gave Morty a helmet. When he wore the helmet, he woke up as a kid somewhere, and he grew up, had cancer, beat cancer, and all of that. And then but in the end, he ended up dying. Like, he beat cancer, but you know how he died? He was on top, like, he was working at a library, and he was trying to pack some books, pack some books. So he accidentally fell because he was standing on top of a chair. So he died. And when Rick removed that helmet, he was like, what? What's going on? Like, he was so shocked. So I do imagine reality really being something like that. And you have infinity because you are conscious forever. So you wouldn't really like it feels like nothing, like it will feel like nothing to you if you've experienced this for like maybe 40 years, 50 years, 60 years, 70 years. It will still feel like nothing because time itself doesn't even exist. It's like, why would there be time? The only reason why we believe that time exists is because we get old. But would you get old? If you are consciousness itself, if you are existence itself, how do you get old? You know? Doesn't it feel like you've always been conscious? Do you remember the first time you became conscious? Because really, if you weren't, you've never always, like if you weren't always conscious, I do think you would have, um, when you started existing, you would have started to ask questions. What is existence? What is life? What am I? But it seems like you never asked those questions. Maybe it's because in the beginning you kind of knew what you are, or maybe not. Maybe not. You didn't. Maybe you didn't really know what you are, but you had memories. But as you got older, your memories started fading away. So you kind of like knew what you were. So there were no questions to ask. You just were invested in the moment. But then as you got older, you started to forget. You know, the same way when you're dreaming, you don't really ask questions. You don't ask, wait, why am I having this experience? Where do I come from? It's because you've been existing. It's not like you started to exist when you started dreaming. You've actually been existing, so there's no questions to ask. But as you get used to the dream, you kind of forget that you've always been conscious. So that's when you actually start asking questions. But when the dream starts, you just assume that things have always been like that. Maybe reality itself is made up and it will always be made up. It will never actually be real, right? So you can't even ask questions because there are no answers to these questions. Like, where do you come from? You've always existed. So you don't come from anywhere. You are consciousness itself. You are existence itself. So there could never be an answer to that question. So maybe you cannot die. Maybe you will always exist, but you will just forget that you've always existed. We see evidence of this a lot when we're dreaming. Like your consciousness localizes itself in the dream. So it forgets everything else until you wake up. So you don't really forget. It's kind of like your consciousness is able to make a partition of itself just to experience a moment. And then after that, it goes back to what it really is. So you start to remember things now. You're like, oh shit, I was sleeping. No, I'm a dog. Because you can have a dream where you're actually a dog and you believe that you're a dog, right? So you wake up and you're like, oh no, I'm not a dog actually. I'm a person with a life. I have this, I have that. But you find that that's not even true. You're not even a human. You are something else. I want you to try to imagine non-existence. What will that be like? You not existing at all. What will that be like? What makes you think that non-existence is possible? As I get older, I start to have dreams that seem indistinguishable from what I call reality. That's not a dream where I was on the phone with someone everything felt real. When I woke up, I was like, that was real? That was not a dream. I was not dreaming. That was actually real. That, like, there's nothing that may, like, when I think about the dream, there's nothing that I could have been like, okay, that would have made me feel like, yeah, it's actually a dream. Because after waking up from most of our dreams, we will be like, okay, I should have realized that it's a dream because, something odd happened. Maybe I had 6 fingers. Maybe yeah, there was something odd, really, that should have shown me that it's a dream. So I was a fool for not realizing that it's a dream. But the dream that I had just seemed real. Like, everything was normal. So, doesn't that tell me that everything is a dream? Everything is made up. I want to ask you a question. Let's say you went to a train station. You sat somewhere and started having a conversation with someone. You guys had a nice conversation. As you were having a conversation, you fell asleep. Accidentally fell asleep. And you started to dream that the conversation that you were having was continuing. But you fell asleep. So you are at a train station, you are having a conversation with someone, and then you fall asleep, but then dream that conversation, you are still having a conversation. You don't even know that the conversation is continuing. It's like you've always had it. What is this thing? Construction vehicle. Like, to you, it feels like the conversation never stopped, basically, right? So you're having this conversation in your dream, but you don't know that. So as you're having this conversation, you pass out. So in your dream, you actually pass out, right? You're dreaming, but in your dream you pass out, and somehow you felt it and kind of knew that you passed out. Or you knew when you were passing out. And then you wake up in what we call the real world. Would you be able to tell which was a dream and which experience was not a dream? Would you be able to tell? Like, okay, this conversation, yeah, this was real. This conversation was a dream. Because remember, you dreamt that you passed out. So when you wake up, it actually feels like you were because you passed out, you woke up, right? Would you be able to tell, oh, that was a dream? Like, this is a very deep philosophical question. Would you really be able to tell that, okay, I dreamt and that's why I'm waking up now? It was all a dream. I didn't actually pass out. Or you think that you're waking up because you passed out, because you don't even remember falling asleep. But in your dream, you kind of remember when you were about to pass out. So you kind of remember passing out. The reason why I'm asking you these questions is because a lot of people think that they can really differentiate between what they call reality and dreams, but they can't. Every experience feel real when you're having it. That's why they say dreams are only as real as they last. So what if you are just a dreamer? That's what you are. You are a dreamer. And you can never not be a dreamer, because you exist forever. So you are dreaming this experience that you are having now. You're dreaming that you are John. You live in California. You have a family. You have a job. You are a construction worker. Your wife is cheating on you. One of your friends betrayed you. You just bought a car. But it's all a dream. It's in a dream. It's not real. It's not something that is happening outside of you. Because nothing can actually happen outside of you. Because to even have an experience, it must be happening within your awareness, within consciousness, you know what I'm saying, like within consciousness itself, for you to even become aware of it. Like no one can actually measure your consciousness. But oh, that's Benedictine's consciousness there. Benedictine is having a dream right now. He's dreaming that he's a snake right now. I'm thirsty. I wonder what they're trying to build here. I'm so thirsty that I'm scared I might collapse. Speaking of collapsing, last year, in April, I collapsed. Very close to where, I'll show you actually the place where I actually collapsed. It's a weird experience. I was talking to this girl. It was a tavern. So I was talking to this girl outside of the tavern. And I collapsed. I don't even remember what happened a few seconds before I collapsed. I just remember the conversation that I was having with the girl. Lucky enough, she knew some of the guys that know me. They greeted me when we were talking. So she looked for them and told them that the guy that you were with collapsed. It was the funniest thing ever, man. When I woke up, I was like, what the hell? Because it's the first thing, it was the first time that something like that actually happened. So let's just say I did remember collapsing and I had a dream. How will I even know that? And I dreamt about that place, like the things that happened before I collapsed. Or maybe not actually the things that happened before I collapsed, but then I dreamt that I was in that place and I dreamt of myself collapsing. Would I know that I was dreaming the whole thing? Or I was just thinking that, yeah, it's all real. I just collapsed. Of course, I'll think that it's all real and I just collapsed. Why? Because I experienced it as something that is real. So what I'm trying to tell you is that reality is only real when you are experiencing it. What I experienced yesterday doesn't even feel real anymore. Right? What I dreamed about yesterday doesn't even feel real anymore. But when I was having the dream, it felt real. I can think of some of the dreams that I've had. They're not placed in a special place in my memories. I'll be like, okay, yeah, this is a place where I place the dreams. It felt real. It felt like an experience. I just told myself that it was a dream, so I believe it to have been a dream, but I experienced it as if it was real. So what that tells me, what that tells me is that consciousness exists forever. So death is an illusion. So to answer the question, what really happens when you die? I would say that you don't actually die. I don't know what will happen, but you will continue to exist. So what do I even mean? Maybe you wake up and you find that you were in a simulation, but you'll continue to exist. Like, I think consciousness will always make up stories, right? So maybe some of you are going to wake up and you meet Jesus, right? Be like, oh shit, you were real all along? And Benedictine was lying to me because he said that Jesus that didn't exist. Oh, Jesus was not the Son of God, but you're real. Yeah, it will be all made up. Everything that you experience is made up. So maybe you wake up and realize that it was a simulation. You wake up and realize that it was just a dream. You wake up and realize that you had a soul. Maybe you had a soul, right? Like, it would seem real, but every experience that you're going to have is not real, but you'll never stop having an experience as a conscious being. So you will never actually die. You'll never experience dying. Or maybe you'll believe that you are dying, but after dying, you're not going you're never going to experience what it is to die. Basically, you will always be alive. You will just feel like the experience that you had was not real, and you will think that you're a fool for even believing that it was. You're like, I believed the whole story. I believe that I was a kid. When I was once a kid, I became a teenager, I became an adult, I became old, I got arrested for doing something stupid, and I believed all of that. I believed the story. But none of it was real. It was all made up, but I didn't know that. I didn't think that. I couldn't have thought that because it felt real. What was I even supposed to think? You see? So this is only as real as it lasts. It's not real, but it's only as real as it lasts. So it feels real now because, well, you're experiencing it. Everything that you experience feels real. Everything that you experience feels real. Even when you're playing a video game, it feels real. Even if you know that it's a video game, but it feels real. When you are experiencing it, it's when you stop experiencing it that it becomes a memory. So every experience is real until it becomes a memory. So when it's a memory, it's not real. It's no longer real. One of the dreams that I had last night was really weird, actually. I had a dream that I had a fight with someone. It's someone that I'm very close to. So I had a dream that I had a fight with this person. I believed that we really did have a fight until I woke up and I was like, so we didn't have a fight. So it was all a dream. So it seems to me that we kind of like shift from the reality that we are not a match of to a reality that we're a match of. So I didn't want us to have had a fight. I didn't want that to be true. So I kind of like have shifted to a reality where we didn't fight. So I woke up and it was all a dream. But if that's what I really wanted, maybe that's the dream will have continued. And it will have felt real, and that will have been the story that I fought with this person. I think we do shift from one reality to another based. I don't know how much power we have over what we get to experience, but I think we do have some level of power, but we're not conscious enough to know the power that we have. Somehow we still need to be fooled by reality, because at a top level there's just nothingness, there's just loneliness, right? So we fool ourselves the same way that when you are thinking and creating stories, you end up trying to believe that these stories are real, right? Like, what other options do you have? Like, when you create a story, you kind of like have to believe that it's real. This reminds me of a joke that Dave Chappelle made about Jim Carrey. He said that he's always been a fan of Jim Carrey. One of his friends told him that he knows Jim Carrey and he can meet Jim Carrey. So he's like, let's go and meet him. When he met Jim Carrey was supposed to play a role or a character, like someone, like he was supposed to play a character of someone that actually existed in what we call real life. So he was acting like that person all the time, whether he was acting or not, whether they were shooting or not, he was acting like that person, like all the time. And he thought that it was funny because he met Jim Carrey and he's like, why is he acting like this person all the time? So maybe that's how it is with all of us. You are not the person that you are playing. but you don't know how to break your own character. So you stay in character all the time because you forgot what you actually are. Not that you really actually do. I shouldn't say you forgot, but for now you cannot remember. For now you're not actually supposed to remember what you really are until you actually wake up and you be like, oh shit. So when we were kids, we used to imagine ourselves as other people, or we used to create stories that were not real, but we had to believe that these stories are real until we're done playing and we snap back to reality. So maybe that's what the whole thing is. It's you creating stories that you believe are real out of boredom. I've been saying that I have a deep feeling that base reality sucks, right? Like base reality actually sucks. I have a deep feeling that base reality actually sucks. It's not what we think it is. Because what will base reality really look like, in your opinion? Or you find yourself in a world where you're having all the fun, like that will be base reality. I think base reality will be boring. You wake up and realize, like maybe that you are alone. You're dreaming everything, and there's no one else. It's just you. It's always been you. There are no other people. There are no other animals. It's just you. So it would be boring, right? So you dream. You can't face yourself. At least not now. Maybe after having all this experience, when you wake up and realize that none of it was real, it was all made up, it was all a dream, maybe that will feel better. Because you'll be like, so I used to stress about this, I used to stress about that, but none of it was real? Sure. The same way that when you wake up from a nightmare, you'll be like, oh shit, so it was not real, it was just a nightmare. But you feel more satisfied now because this it seemed long. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like when you have a dream that is short and you wake up from that dream and you're like, it was all a dream, obviously. It's short, it's not really a problem. But if this really did feel real, this really did feel long. So when you wake up from it, you feel satisfied somehow that not even satisfied, but then you feel better realizing that it was not real, it was all a dream. I have to pause this video because they're playing music there, so I'm gonna, I don't want to get a copyright strike. I actually don't like the fact that we take dreams for granted. If you've never dreamt in your life and someone told you that every time when they sleep, they find themselves in a world where everything seems real and they don't think they're sleeping somewhere. They actually think that their experience is continuing. Of course you'd want to experience that. The same way that a person would maybe try DMT, trying to have like a psychedelic experience. It's like, that's interesting, right? But because we dream all the time, we take dreams for granted. But I think dreams tell us something much more about what we call reality than we think. Because if I'm right when I say that consciousness is fundamental and it's the only thing that actually exists, it's reality itself, it's life itself, that will mean that nothing will come from somewhere else to tell you what life is, because you are consciousness itself. So why would something outside of consciousness come to you and tell you what consciousness is? Like, it will literally be you who has to define consciousness yourself, who has to decide what makes sense and what doesn't, what life is and what it is not. Literally, because everything is made up. So you are the one who have to consciously make things up. Because nothing is defined. It's you who has to define everything. You just believed the story that your mind made up unconsciously. Understand what I'm saying? Like, you believe the story that your mind made up unconsciously. Like, it didn't even know what it was doing, and you believed the story. So what I'm saying to you is that maybe what I'm saying is true. So maybe it's up to you to redefine everything, to consciously create reality yourself, to say, this is what it is. Or when you have an experience, you say, this is what it means. This is what I'm experiencing. No, nothing outside of me is going to tell me what this is. I'm going to believe what I tell myself this is. And you be arrogant about it. And like I've been telling y'all that, of course, no one has to tell you what this is, right? Of course, you are the person that has to tell yourself what this is, because you are experiencing reality from your perspective. So why do you have to trust someone else to tell you what this is? Or something that you feel is outside of you. Something that you probably created unconsciously to tell you what this is. You are the thinker. So, because you have the ability to think, shouldn't you think what will make sense to you? Because think about it. Let's say, like when you're dreaming, for an example, you believe that your dreams are real. You believe that the characters that you interact with are real, but you've created them subconsciously. You don't even know why they act the way that they act. Some of the characters in your dreams are mean. Some of the characters in your dreams hate you. Some of the characters in your dreams tell you things that don't make you feel good about yourself. So why should you believe them if you are the thinker? Do they have their own thoughts? No. I mean, that makes sense to believe that they don't actually have their own thoughts. I mean, you don't even know, you don't even experience life from other people's perspectives in this realm. So you thinking that they have their own thoughts is an assumption. It's not fact. It's not like something that you actually know for sure, right? That someone actually lives in this house, it's just your assumption. You don't know that for sure. Even if you saw a person getting inside, you don't know if you are not observing them, they actually exist. You don't know that. And if this was a dream, of course they wouldn't exist without you observing them, right? Unless you want to believe that the beings that you interact with in your dream, the beings that you interact with in your dreams are actually real. Meaning that they exist without you, meaning that every dream that you've ever had still continues without you. That's unless you want to take that leap of faith and be like, yo, I believe that every dream that I had is real, and the dream, all these dreams actually continued even though I was not part of it. To me, it makes more sense to believe that none of this is real. It's all made up. It's all a dream. That's all that it could ever be. That's all that it ever was. And it will always be like that forever. So, I can never actually die. And I'm not saying this because I do not want to die, right? Some people might think, hey, you're saying this because maybe you want to live forever. No. I think if death was really possible, like that will actually be, like, you know what I mean? Like, dude, like you, I don't even know how to put it without, okay, listen. If I was given the power to be able to make non-existence possible, at some point I will choose that. Right? At some point I will literally choose that. So I'm not saying what I'm saying because I just want to exist forever. I think it becomes a burden. Like, immortality is a burden. I remember telling you about this movie called Infinite. The way these guys, the bad guys, were the ones who, like, okay, there were these people who had the ability to reincarnate and also remember their past lives. It seemed like everyone actually was, well, like everyone was reincarnating, but some people were able to remember their past lives. So these guys kept on reincarnating, remembering their past lives, and they would try their best to help humanity because they would remember everything. You know, if they've learned something, they will be able to, they will not forget it. You know, I've learned how to rap now. I can rap. Let's say we kept on reincarnating, and in my next life I was a UFC fighter. I've learned how to fight. Let's say I kept on reincarnating. In my next life I was Navy SEAL. I've learned how, you know what I'm saying? So they will never forget what they've learned. So they become very strong and powerful and smart because they never forget the lessons that they've learned in their previous lives. Some of them were like, you know what? This is nonsense. I mean, it's not like we've been able to help humanity. Like, every time when we come back here, there's always problems. Like, so they wanted life to end, not necessarily because they wanted to help humanity, but they wanted to help themselves. They hated the fact that they kept on reincarnating, right? So I would be like those people. They were the villains, but when you think deeply about it, they were right. And what do I even mean that they were right? I mean that they were victims because they kept on reincarnating and they didn't know how to stop their reincarnation, and they felt like the only way was to stop humanity itself, because they didn't want to reincarnate. So they had this technology called the egg. The technology that they wanted to use to stop humanity itself, because they wanted to stop their own existence, not that they wanted to stop existence itself. So I can't really look at them as the bad guys because of that. But also they were the good guys. The good guys were trying to protect humanity from them, and to protect humanity, they had to stop them. They also wanted to protect them. So it's kind of like it's I feel I do understand the villains and that they are victims, but I also do understand the main characters, the heroes, because they're trying to protect what they believe in. But I think the villains were more right than the, like, if we're supposed to be intellectually honest, because they just didn't want to keep on reincarnating back, and they didn't know any other way. So yeah, I'm telling you that we exist forever, not as a person who would have preferred that, but as a person who have thought about it deeply enough that's actually my conclusion, that we exist forever. Like there's no, like you will never not be conscious. Even after you die, you'll immediately, because like there'll never be a period where you're just non-existent. You will always be existent. I mean, you always exist basically. You will always be self-aware. And that is why on one of my, not even one, like a few of my previous videos, I've been talking about choosing love over fear. Because if we're conscious forever and we're choosing fear over love, that means that we will always be miserable, right? Like there's no way that you'll be able to make your experience better, because you are always choosing fear over love. You are always choosing to do what you do because you are afraid. You're not choosing to do what you want to do because of love, like because you want to do it, regardless of what happens. Because at the end of the day, we can't really control the outcome of our actions. You can do things perfectly. I want you to understand that. Like you can literally do things perfectly and you still get bad results. I remember when I was watching, was it the Grammy Awards? I'm not really sure. I think this chick, her name is Billie Eilish. Yeah, if I'm not mistaken. She was on the category, like the best pop album category. She was going against Beyonce and some other artists. Everyone felt like she should have won, but she didn't win. She had made a very great album and people really loved it. They enjoyed listening to her music, but she still didn't win. The point that I'm trying to make is that sometimes it doesn't even matter how hard you try. It's like you don't know how to control the outcome, but you should still choose love over fear and be like, okay, this is what I want to do, or this is what I prefer doing, so we'll see, right? These rooms are beautiful. But they must install butlers, because this place doesn't seem that safe, because there ain't that many houses yet. So yeah, man, what you must try to focus on is trying to do what you want to do. Let whatever happens next happen. It's like, yeah, I tried. What can I blame myself for? Because I did what I wanted to do, but I didn't get the best results or the results that I preferred, but I still did what I wanted to do. So why should I blame myself? I chose love over fear. I didn't let fear stop me, because every day, man, I know this about myself and about people in general, that we choose fear over love most of the time. And like I told you, that my mission this year is to learn how to choose love over fear. Because if I'm conscious forever, there's really nothing to fear. Not even death itself. Because I will be conscious forever. Like, why should I even be afraid of dying? Because death is an illusion. It's not even real. It's not going to happen. I'm never going to die. So why shouldn't I choose love all the time? Because if I'm consciousness itself and I'm not teaching myself to choose love, that means I'll always choose fear, and my experience will always be hellish because I'm choosing fear all the damn time. But if I'm choosing love, if I'm choosing to stand up for what I believe in all the time, then I have a better chance of creating what I want to create, right? We can't lie and say that it doesn't feel rigged. You know, like it feels like we have that much control, because that would be a lie. But you actually choosing what you prefer most of the time will actually be better than if you choose what you don't prefer. I think you will be learning how to move right if you focus more on choosing what you actually prefer. So yeah, man, exploring your own mind, if you are consciousness itself, it's not going to be easy. But if you are going to do it, I think you must do it right. You must do it from a place of courage than to try to do it from a place of fear. So yeah, if you wanted to know what I think about dying, that's what I think. I don't think you actually die. I think you've never died, and you can never die. You'll always be conscious. And I don't know how to, I don't know if you can, I don't know if it's possible to free yourself from, I don't even know if I should call it immortality. It's not even immortality, but you're eternal, right? You're just going to be conscious forever. So I don't know how you can actually free yourself from that, because you are consciousness itself. You are life itself. There's no opposite of what you are. So you could never experience non-existence. You'll always have experience. So forget about the theories about existence. We've been told that maybe you come from evolution, you come from this and that. Yeah, maybe you are evolving as consciousness itself, but you didn't actually evolve from monkeys. That's just a story that you've made up, just like any other story in your own life. The final truth is that you are consciousness having an experience, and you're going to experience a lot of different things. And maybe to have the best experiences that you can have, you must try your best to choose love over fear. You must stop trying to justify why you can't. You can say, I've been traumatized, I've suffered a lot, and that is why I can't choose love over fear. It's like, okay, but are you trying enough? Are you trying hard enough? Do you think you're doing your best? It's going to be difficult. It's not going to be easy. Sometimes it will feel impossible. Like you look at the world and you just don't know how to choose love over fear. Like it will just seem impossible. But then if you continuously try, I do believe that you will train yourself to do that consistently and consciously, to a point that it will become like it will be a habit, really. Like it will be effortless. Like it will just be something that you just do. So yeah, my final truth about death is that you don't actually die. You are conscious forever. Thank you guys for watching this video until the end. Like, subscribe, share the video, tell me what you think, and yeah, don't be afraid to disagree with me, because these are radical claims. It's not like it's something that, someone telling you that this is not even real. It's crazy when you think deeply about it. So tell me what you think. And always focus on love. I do believe that whether this is real or not, focusing on love over fear is best. Thank you, guys.